do a lot for morale having you on board.
So what is CNC4 all about? Well, what our approach was to take the core tenets of RTS play, the sort of build a bunch of tanks, roll across the map, blow up a bunch of stuff, but try and expand them so that we could allow more people in. Because I love the hardcore RTS players, I love the hardcore RTS community, but we wanted more people playing on games, and we didn't want it to be so that feeling where you go online and someone eats you and you never play it again. We wanted you to feel welcome. We came up with the idea of doing an AI-driven campaign because the game we designed, it was practically impossible to do your classic scripted go here, do this, go here, do that campaign. So what we wanted to do is let the player come to the table with whatever they had, because with our player progression system, you earn units and so on. And we couldn't predict what they had, we couldn't predict what class they were going to play, and a lot of levels you can't even predict where they're going to spawn in, because we let you pick multiple respawn points. So the idea was, let's design levels that are driven by AI, as opposed to scripting, and have sort of create a possibility space where you have a bunch of independent AI entities on the map, and they all have their own goals and things they want to do. And then layer objectives over the top of that for the player, and let the player just go in and have the world react to how they play. So for instance, we have our support class, which is a little more esoteric for, classic RTS play. You've got aircraft and powers. So it's really not classic sort of RTS play model. But I played through the whole campaign in support class just to make sure that it was fun. And it reacts to you very differently than if you go in as a fence, or even if you're playing co-op, where people could be playing multiple classes, and you can even change classes mid-mission. So with the AI-driven experience, you can basically play as you see fit, and it's our job to make sure that's entertaining. Mobility and flexibility are kind of the key tenets of the game. The idea that you play the game how you want, as opposed to how we tell you to. So we started off with the persistent player progression, which is the idea that you start off with a couple units in each class, enough that you can play solid RTS, and then as you play the game you earn experience, and with that experience you earn perks, in the sort of more in the Battlefield style, where you're earning new units, you're earning new powers, and so on. And then you take them with you between every game mode, between single player, co-op, skirmish, multiplayer, and they're persistent, much like the experience you earn is persistent across all of those modes. And we got it to the point where you can go onto someone else's machine where they're playing CNC4, log into your profile, and it'll have all of your stuff, and then you can just go play as if it was on your own PC. And the idea being that we don't want to tell you how to play. It's your game, you bought it, you should play it however you want. We came up with this idea of objective-based multiplayer because the classic RTS experience is awesome, but it's also a little scary because you go online and you lose against someone who's way better than you. So we wanted to create something where, the hardcore can go and kill each other in the same match. You, as the non-hardcore, can go and still contribute. So the idea is, if you don't want to go fight the other guy, you can just go around securing victory points and defending them. Or if you want to go fight, you can go and capture the enemy's ones and drive them away. But again, it sort of opens up the gameplay to a variety of tactical options. CNC4's story is pretty interesting, because as we've said, it's the epic conclusion of the Tiberium saga. It really is the last chapter of the story that began in '95 with Tiberian Dawn. And so what we wanted to do is tell a story that is really big. We didn't want to just trot Kane out again and go, look, Kane. We wanted to make it real and important. So with this story, it begins in 2062, which is a period of time after the end of CNC3. Humanity's on their last legs. Basically, Tiberium's mutated, it's taking over the whole world. We're running out of air, we're running out of water, we're basically extinct, when Kane, our iconic villain, he pops up and says, hey, I'm not dead. And he says, I can save you. And so he strikes a deal with GDI, his sort of classic enemy. And then our story proper begins 15 years after that, where this Tiberium control network has been built, it's almost finished, Earth has been reclaimed, humanity's come back from the verge. But that means people are starting to ask questions like, why did Kane save us? And that's really the heart of the story, is who Kane is, what he is, and what he's trying to do. We went for a darker, grittier story with CNC4 because people play CNC and people tend to expect a sort of level of camp. And that's fine for the Red Alert series, which we love. We love the tongue-in-cheek vibe. But with the Tiberium universe, it's essentially a very serious universe that people have a hard time taking seriously because we do this sort of FMV thing, which is a bit retro now. So our thought process was, Basically, if FMV was still the predominant storytelling methodology for games today, what would it be like? And we built our FMV around that. So it's not campy, it's very sort of serious. So we really tried to bring a sort of more shades of grey to the universe. And that even goes to Kane. Like, Kane does not get maniacal monologues in this game. I wouldn't say he's more human, but he's more relatable. Like, you get a sense of who Kane is. You get a bit closer to him. And that really, we actually got some really, really strong performance out of Joe Coogan, who's played Kane, and really brought a lot to the table. I mean, there's real emotion in the game, which is something we worked very hard to get. And when I pitched it, everyone was like, you're insane. But I think at this point we pulled it off. Command & Conquer 4 Tiberian Twilight is coming to a PC near you March 16th.